Thank you. I'm sorry I'm so late. Just came all the way from Long Beach. And man, they got the shuttles running right now, so it's ridiculous. Yeah, grew up in Baltimore all my life. I was born there in 1986. Grew up in Baltimore City, Emerson, and Bentlow, to be precise. And first, let me start off by saying, what y'all seen on The Wire, Baltimore's 10 times worse. It's nothing like that. They made us actually look pretty decent. But I've been harassed by the police starting at the age of 11, all the way up until I moved out at the age of 26. And on numerous occasions, one just off the top, my first adult charge, I had just moved back to Baltimore from Atlanta. And I just so happened to be walking across a shopping center and police was harassing some other young kids. And as I was walking by, they told me to stop. And well, they told everyone that was walking to stop. So I figured, I'm not with them, so I'm not stopping because, I was minding my business by myself. So as I continued to walk, he said, I told you stop. So I said, okay, I stopped. Next thing you know, I'm being placed in cuffs. For what reason, I don't know. But later on, when I get to Central Bookings, which is our main jail facility, they give me my paperwork, and on my paperwork it says, I attempted to charge at the police with a box cutter. And being from Baltimore, people know if you do anything like that, by the means, the police is going to beat the crap out of you, especially if you're charging at them with a weapon. They're going to take you down. So that was just, false right there. That was falsified report off the break. Had another occasion after that. Let me see. I was walking out of a corner store. We were celebrating a friend of mine's birthday. I walked to the store to grab some more drinks, some soda, chips, and all that stuff. As I proceed to walk out the store and cross the street, police hop out on me and say they seen me collecting and serving. And what I mean by that is they claim they seen me collecting money from, I guess, like drug users. They say they seen me collecting money from them and giving them the drugs. And to be blunt, I told the police, if you're gonna charge me for anything, I will take open container. Because I was sitting on the step, drinking a beer. And that was all I was doing. And well, with that arrest, I was facing 80 years. And they tried to get me to cop out to 40 years. And I was told them I'm not taking any charge but open container. If you want to charge me with anything, charge me with open container, because that's all I was doing. And luckily, my public pretender, aka public defender, he was fired, and I was blessed to have a state's attorney represent me. And she seen my charges and said, all you had on you was $13, a bag of chips, and some soda. Oh, you're going home. Like for your co-defendants, I don't know about them, but you're going home. But like I said, by the grace of God, I went home, wasn't convicted of any charge, and that was just that. That's another occasion. Let me see. It's been so many. I'm just going to give you some of the blunt ones. I moved back to Atlanta trying to escape, the negativity in Baltimore, and unfortunately I had to move back to Baltimore. And about the third day I moved back, I went to go see a friend of mine. He wasn't home. So me and his mother started talking on her step. We're sitting on the step talking. Next thing you know, police shows up and say, y'all have to clear the neighborhood, y'all have to clear the block. And she says, this is my property. I don't have to go anywhere. I pay mortgage here, I can sit on my step, and this is my company. He doesn't have to do anything. I said, Ma, not to be disrespectful, I'm just gonna go ahead and leave. I'm not trying to get in trouble or anything, so I'm just gonna leave. I said, before I go, may I have a cigarette? She went in the house, gave me a cigarette. I proceeded to walk away. Police stopped me and said, you didn't leave quick enough. and placed the cuff on my wrist. So I then proceeded to put my left hand behind my back and asked him, why am I being arrested? I know my rights, you have to explain to me. Why am I being arrested? I did nothing wrong. So in the process of me saying that, what the police do in Baltimore is they try to clothesline me, like take you down. He grabbed my hand, which the cuff was on, and proceeded to pull me and clothesline me. I was a little bit bigger than I am now. So when he did that, I didn't budge, but my reaction to basically defend myself was to defend myself, and I kind of did something stupid. I look at it now, it was stupid, but it was a reactionary thing. Like I kind of took him down. And in the process of me taking him down, his partners pulled out their guns and their tasers, yelling, I'm gonna shoot him. I'm gonna shoot him. And I was like, oh, you're not gonna shoot me. I'm going down. I let him go, laid on the ground, and then they proceeded to hop on top of me and continue striking me in my face. And when another officer had my hand with this hand, he took my left hand, because I was laying on this hand on the curb with the cuff still on my hand. I was laying on the sidewalk, and the other officer took my arm and was trying to break it. He kept yelling, break his arm, break his arm. And then another officer yelling, stop resisting. I'm yelling to them, he just yelled, break my arm, I'm gonna resist. Like, I'm not gonna let you break my arm. So as they're trying to break my arm, the officer I kind of took down got up and stood over top of me and continually punched me in my left eye. So after that whole situation, they placed me in the back of the paddy wagon. And for one thing, I'm gonna say this. What they said on the news about how they put Freddie in the back and strapped him in, all the times I've been arrested, I never had a seatbelt put on me. They put you in the back of there and what they so-called call the rough ride. You in the back of this paddy wagon, just sliding back and forth, bumping your head, all that stuff. So they took me to the precinct where the officer who was hitting me in my eye, he took me into a small room, continued to beat me up. And then his sergeant came and seen my face, and they sent me to the hospital. When I get to the hospital, they tell me I had a fractured eye, fractured left optical floor fracture. So they basically, he hit me so hard, he fractured my eye. And I had nerve damage in my right hand. I had no feeling in these 3 fingers. And I went to court for that. The judge I had told me, he took one look at me and said, I hope you sue them. All your charges are dismissed. When you get home, sue them. I went to internal affairs, pointing out the police that did what he did. A couple weeks go by, I get one phone call, can you come back in to write your statement? Wrote my statement, couple more weeks go by, nothing. A month go by, nothing. 2 months go by, they so-called dropped the case. And about 2 months later, the officer that I was involved with that altercation, he had another altercation with someone else where he pulled out his gun as he was off duty and shot someone in the bar. And he was not arrested, not locked up or anything. He was back out on the streets. I moved to Atlanta again, trying to get away. And eventually wound up coming back. The first day I moved back to Baltimore, riding with a friend of mine, and, well, so-called friend. Because if he was a friend, he would have told me what he had in his car. I was riding with a friend, we get pulled over, pulled by that exact same officer that fractured my eye, just so happened. And he pulls us over, and I was the passenger in the car. My little brother was in the back seat, and my so-called friend was driving. They searched the car, find a book bag full of drugs in his trunk. And typically, you know, if it's not your car, they're supposed to let you go. The officer remembered who I was and said, yeah, I remember you. And that was the one thing he said to me. Next thing you know, I sat in jail for 7 months. Got out the day before my birthday, which is September 3rd. The day before my 22nd birthday. And by the grace of God, I got in a car accident before that. So I had $7,000 waiting for me when I came home. So that was a blessing, I guess. You know, if I would have been home, I probably would have spent it. And that's a different story there. And there's been so many different occasions. Like, I can remember growing up as a child, seeing the police come down in helicopters at my front door from my uncle because he so-called robbed a bank. And he wasn't even living in the States at that time. But they said they seen him rob the bank. Like, it's just numerous of occasions where the police just, you know, harass you for no reason. Just, like, you can walk down the street, like, me coming up the street just now, say the police drove by me and I looked at them and turned my head, they would have pulled up on me and started harassing me. What you doing in this neighborhood? Just for the simple fact that, you know, you don't really see too many blacks in this neighborhood, so they would have straight came to me and said, why are you in this neighborhood? Next thing you know, I probably would have had some drugs on me, but they put on me, and they probably would have locked me up, and then when I get my charge papers, it would have said I had this amount of drugs, I had a gun on me, or I had a knife on me. Like, that's one thing I can say. Police back home, they put charges on you that's ridiculous. And they also have another thing when they do. If they catch you, they tell you, well, just give me a gun and I'll let you go. They're like, if you know where a gun at, just go get it, give it to us, and we let you go. We won't charge you anything. And in all actuality, that's a lie. You'll give them the gun thinking you're gonna go home, and then you'll get charged with the gun. Whole time it's not your gun, you just happen to know, might know where a gun might be at, and they'll charge, you know, you'll give it to them and they'll put that gun on you, and whatever else is on that, like, it is, I can't start to explain how ridiculous the police is. It's just so many occasions. Right before I moved out here, I was sitting out front with my little sister, and the police drove by. In fact, I'm just gonna finish this one. I got another story too. But right before I moved out here, sitting out front with my little sister, police drove by, seeing me and her play fighting, and they tried to arrest me for domestic, for playing with my little sister. Like, we wasn't hitting each other for real. We was just, you know, tapping each other. And he said, "Oh, you're not supposed to be doing that." I'm like, "That's my little sister, and we're playing. We're not doing anything wrong." Well, it looked like you was hitting her too hard. That's another reason just for the police, you know, that's another occasion where the police just harassed me just because they had nothing else better to do. I went home for Easter. Right before this whole Freddie Gray incident happened, I was just in Baltimore. Just got back out here the week after Easter, and then all this went down. I was back home. It was a little craziness going on. Another occasion, sitting out front on my steps. We're outside just sitting. Police rides down the street and says, "Go in the house." We look at them like, "Go in the house? It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Why do we have to go in the house?" Like, "'Cause I said so." Like, that's how the police, they feel like just because they have that badge of authority, whatever they tell you to do, you have to do it. And if you don't, you're not complying, so now they have the right to lock you up. So he tried to lock me up for not listening to him telling me to go in the house. And I kind of used my California ID, said, "Man, I'm not from here. I don't know y'all laws." So he was like, "Man, I'm just going to give you a warning right now." And he let me go. But that's, you know, just, if I would have had my Maryland ID on me, I'd probably be sitting in jail and wouldn't be here speaking to y'all right now. Because what they do is when they lock you up, they basically forget about you. Like, you'll sit, like I said, I sat in jail for 7 months on a charge I had nothing to do with at all. But they almost lost me in the system if it wasn't for my father and my mother going up there every day harassing the correctional officers and everything, saying, why is my son still locked up? He wasn't found with anything on him. He had no drugs, no nothing. He was just a passenger in the car. So why are y'all still having him contained? And luckily, like I said, I got out the day from my birthday, and I had to get out of there. I said, my next move, I'm going to California, and hopefully, pursue my acting career and start fresh. No one out here, so I had no reason to be tied into any type of connection with anyone, so they won't say, oh, I seen you with this person, so you gotta have something on you or something like that, because that's another thing they do. If they see you walking with someone one time, you're so-called a drug dealer just because that person is a known drug dealer, and they see you walking with a person. You might be just walking with a person trying to figure out directions. Just because they seen you with that person, you're a known drug dealer. And then, man, like I said, there's just so many stories. I can go on and on and on. It's just, especially in the area, in the neighborhood where Freddie was killed at, that's my neighborhood. Like all the stuff y'all see on the news with the CVS being burnt down, that's my neighborhood. I literally walk out my front door and turn the corner and I'm looking at that CVS. So when it was going down, I'm calling my mother, calling my little sister, y'all okay? Everything all right? I see y'all on the news, y'all on CNN. And they was like, oh, we're in the house, we're okay. Your sister's upstairs. I'm like, all right, with my kids. My kids okay? Like, your kids good. They in the living room, they playing. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, well, none of my family members or anything wasn't involved in it, I'm good. So that's the main reason I came out here. Like I said, trying to pursue my acting career, get a fresh start, and get my family out of that predicament. Because it's too many occasions, it's just stuff that's not going on right. Like my mother even had an incident with the police where they tried to lock her up and tried to fight her. Male police tried to fight a female. It's just ridiculous. They take that badge and get you, what's the word I'm looking for? They get their ego, which is basically just too built up. Matter of fact, my little brother, right before I came out, and my little brother just became Baltimore City Police. So when all this was going down, I'm blowing his phone up. Calling him when he's not answering. So I'm like, man, I hope nothing happened to him. He called me finally, telling me, oh, I'm working in Baltimore County. I ain't in the city. I'm good. So I'm like, all right. I ain't got to worry about him. That's one less thing to worry about. And then at the same time, I don't like him being a police because of the stereotype they have, and especially with the way people are acting now. We have gangs, same way they have gangs out here, we have gangs back there, but we have a gang called BGF, which is Black Guerrilla Family. And the whole reason why they was formed was to go against the police and the correctional officers and the jail and system and all that stuff. And if y'all been watching the news, you've seen the Bloods, the Crips, and the BGF and the Muslims all together in one picture saying, we're not going to take this no more. That's kind of a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, but it's showing that people can put aside their differences and come together for a greater cause. And that was I love that message, but at the same time, I just got a phone call from people back home. Police just shot another dude right around the corner from my house. And I don't know if it was on the news or not, but they shot him in his back. And this was last week. And they're not taking it no more to the point there's stuff. I done heard a lot of rumors about stuff is about to go real crazy back home. And that's why I'm glad I'm out here. That's why I'm trying to, like I said, get my family from out of that situation, get my kids out of there, and move them out here so we can have a better life. That's just, I ain't gonna say that's all, but that's some of the stories that I've been involved with by the police. I'm not saying anything else y'all want to know, you can ask.